Hello Bama fans! Alabama's offer to Jeran McCoy, a four-star defensive lineman from the class of 2026, represents yet another strategic move in the already robust recruiting efforts of the Crimson Tide. Over the years, Alabama's coaching staff has maintained its position as one of the most aggressive and successful in recruiting young talent, and McCoy's inclusion on their radar is no surprise. McCoy, a native of Mississippi, has been catching the attention of several major programs across the country due to his impressive on-field abilities. Ranked as the 10th defensive lineman in his class, according to 247 Sports Composite rankings, McCoy is already showing the qualities that make him a priority target for any team aiming for defensive excellence. With standout stats in his sophomore year, such as 44 tackles, 23 tackles for loss, and 11 sacks, he has demonstrated a rare combination of power and technique, making him a constant threat to opposing offensive lines. These numbers not only highlight his raw talent but also reflect an advanced understanding of the game for someone his age. The fact that McCoy is teammates with fellow highly sought-after four-star cornerback Mason Dunn, from the class of 2025, further boosts Alabama's chances of securing his commitment in the future. The relationship between these two players could be a strategic advantage for the Crimson Tide, as recruiting teammates has proven to be an effective formula for building synergy among future college athletes. Dunn is already on Alabama's radar, which could facilitate conversations with McCoy and pave the way for both players to seriously consider playing together in Tuscaloosa. Moreover, McCoy's unofficial visit to Tuscaloosa this past March shows that both he and his family are open to closely exploring Alabama's football program. This initial contact with the new coaching staff, now under the leadership of Kalen DeBoer, could be the starting point for a strong relationship. Alabama's track record of developing defensive linemen, paired with the support structure offered by the program, undoubtedly makes Tuscaloosa an attractive choice for McCoy. While competing offers from programs like Auburn, Florida, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State certainly add a layer of competition to this recruitment, it's clear that Alabama remains a dominant force. The long-term efforts, past achievements, and DeBoer's clear plan for the future of the Crimson Tide have consistently proven that Alabama is not just a prestigious choice, but also a smart one for those looking to maximize their career potential. McCoy is expected to make another visit to Tuscaloosa soon, possibly alongside Mason Dunn. This would be a valuable opportunity for both players and Alabama's coaching staff to further strengthen the bond established during the previous visit. Dunn and McCoy fit the profile of athletes who align with the aggressive, physically dominant defensive scheme that Alabama has always cultivated. The fact that both players are on the Crimson Tide's radar only reinforces the perception that the program is constantly a step ahead in the pursuit of top talent. It's not just about stacking impressive numbers in recruitment, it's about building a defense that, year after year, positions itself as one of the most feared in college football. Adding McCoy, a player with proven skills and exponential growth potential in the coming years, would be yet another significant win for the Crimson Tide. If Alabama can secure McCoy's commitment, they'll be adding another key piece to their already formidable defensive line. All signs point to Alabama's coaching staff being ready to do whatever it takes to ensure McCoy and Dunn view Tuscaloosa as the ideal place for their college careers. Let's roll! Controversy erupted on social media when Stephen A. Smith, known for his sharp and often exaggerated opinions, suggested that Bryce Young could be the biggest bust in NFL draft history. The statement, made during First Take, quickly became a central topic of discussion among fans and analysts, especially after the Carolina Panthers benched Young, a move that could signal a drastic shift in the direction of the franchise. Smith's criticism was harsh, claiming that even Jamarcus Russell, widely considered one of the biggest busts in NFL history, didn't reach Young's level. However, this simplistic analysis ignores the context and circumstances surrounding a young quarterback like Bryce Young. First and foremost, it's crucial to acknowledge that Young's performance so far has fallen short of expectations. As the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 draft, he hasn't been able to adapt quickly to the speed and complexity of the NFL game. But placing all the blame on his shoulders and labeling him as the biggest bust in draft history is premature and disproportionate, especially considering he's only in his second year and still has time to adjust his game. The reality is that circumstances matter a lot in a quarterback's development. The Carolina Panthers, as a franchise, are going through structural changes and struggles, which inevitably affect the performance of any young player. When we look at quarterbacks who have faced difficulties in Carolina before Young, such as Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, it's clear that the environment can be a significant factor. Both players had frustrating stints with the Panthers, only to find some success elsewhere. Darnold, for instance, has had solid performances with the Minnesota Vikings, while Mayfield received a notable contract after bouncing back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Moreover, the pressure placed on rookie quarterbacks to deliver immediate results is greater than ever. The league, driven by media and fan impatience, often pushes young players into situations they're not yet ready to thrive in. Playing quarterback in the NFL requires more than talent. It's a position that demands time to develop game intelligence, the ability to read defenses, and a deep understanding of offensive systems. Many of these aspects aren't learned overnight, and Young, with his brilliant college football background, is still going through this adaptation process. The comparison to Jamarcus Russell, often cited as the biggest bust in NFL draft history, doesn't hold up. Russell, in his third season, completed only 48% of his passes and threw 3 touchdowns against 11 interceptions in 9 games. On the other hand, Young is still in the early stages of his career, and while he's faced struggles, he hasn't reached such low levels of performance. There is undoubtedly time and opportunity for Young to change the narrative around his career. When evaluating Young's situation, it's also important to remember that he's not the first, nor will he be the last quarterback to face intense criticism early in his career. Players like Trey Lance, the 3rd overall pick in 2021, and Ryan Leaf, the 2nd overall pick in 1998, also faced enormous expectations and failed to live up to them. However, the NFL is full of examples of players who bounced back from rough starts. Baker Mayfield, for example, was considered a bust after his exit from Cleveland, but he managed to revive his career in Tampa Bay. At the end of the day, labeling Bryce Young as the biggest bust in NFL history at this point is, at the very least, reckless. The young quarterback has been thrown into a difficult situation, with a franchise facing its own internal challenges. The lack of stability on the team, the pressure to perform quickly, and the media's impatience are all factors that have played a crucial role in what we're seeing now. What many critics seem to forget is that Young still has a long road ahead of him. The future may hold plenty of opportunities for him to prove his worth. The talent that made him the number 1 pick in the draft is still there, waiting to be refined and unleashed. Calling Young the biggest bust at this point is ignoring the fact that he's only just beginning his NFL journey. And speaking of potential landing spots for Young, Bryce Young, who was the 1st overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, has seen his journey take an unexpected turn after being benched by the Carolina Panthers. This move, which could signal the end of Young's short stint in Charlotte, raises questions about his future in the league. Despite the struggles he has faced during his first 17 months in the NFL, it's too soon to label him a complete bust, as some analysts have suggested. Young's career could still be salvaged, especially if he lands in an environment better suited for his development. Here are the top 5 places where Bryce Young could revitalize his career and prove he's still worthy of that number 1 pick. Miami Dolphins. One of the biggest challenges Young faced in Carolina was a lack of confidence, largely due to an inconsistent offensive line and a weak receiving core. In Miami, head coach Mike McDaniel could be the perfect figure to restore that confidence, just as he did with Tua Tagovailoa. McDaniel helped Tua overcome early career uncertainties, and under his guidance, the quarterback led the league in passing yards. With Tua's concussion issues, the Dolphins might want to secure a quality backup quarterback like Bryce Young, who could learn and develop alongside Tua, gaining time to grow before getting another shot at a starting role. New Orleans Saints. The Saints, currently led by Derek Carr at quarterback, could consider a strategic shift, especially if they decide to move on from Carr after this season. Young could benefit from having a veteran like Carr around, learning from his experience while waiting for his turn. Moreover, the Saints have young and talented receivers like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, who would give Young the weapons he lacked in Carolina. This combination of surrounding talent and an established mentor would create the ideal environment for Bryce to mature and develop his game. Seattle Seahawks. Seattle would be an excellent opportunity for Young to develop behind Geno Smith, who is all too familiar with the struggles young quarterbacks face in tough situations. Smith, who endured rough times in New York before finding his footing in Seattle, offers a model of resilience for Young to follow. At 33, Smith is in the final years of his contract with the Seahawks, and Young could spend the 2025 season as an understudy, preparing to take over as the starter in 2026. This approach will allow Bryce to gain experience without the immediate pressure of leading a team, something that clearly impacted his early development in Carolina. Detroit Lions. The Lions are currently in an interesting position. With Jared Goff as the starter, the team has thrived defensively, and Goff signed a major contract extension with the team. However, there's an option for the Lions to exit Goff's contract after the 2027 season. While Goff has played very well and posted impressive numbers, the question remains whether he's good enough to lead the Lions to a Super Bowl title. Detroit has one of the best rosters in the NFL, thanks to smart recruiting that has set them up for success both now and in the future. Even though Bryce Young hasn't shown the same level of consistency as Goff thus far, he could benefit from an environment like the Lions, where there's stability and a strong team around him. Young also has relationships with two players on the roster, Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, who are his teammates at Alabama. Additionally, Lions head coach Dan Campbell is known for his confident and energetic style, which could be exactly what Young needs to regain his confidence and find his footing in the league. Detroit would offer Young a golden opportunity to develop without the immediate pressure of being a franchise savior, while learning from Goff and gaining experience. Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are another team that could offer Bryce Young a chance to reboot his NFL career. With Matthew Stafford dealing with a series of injuries at 36 years old, the veteran quarterback's future in the league is uncertain. While Stafford is still capable of playing at a high level, injuries tend to increase as players age, and the Rams may decide to move on after the 2025 season when Stafford's contract becomes more flexible. Sean McVay, the Rams head coach, is one of the brightest minds in football, known for his ability to maximize the potential of his players. He already demonstrated this with Baker Mayfield, who seemed to be on his way out of the league after being cut by the Panthers in 2022. The Rams claimed him off waivers, and under McVay's guidance, Mayfield played well enough to earn a one-year contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In Tampa, Mayfield had the best season of his career and was rewarded with a $100 million contract. With McVay, Young would have the opportunity to develop in a successful offensive system, with the added benefit of learning from Stafford, one of the most experienced and talented quarterbacks in the NFL. Stafford could serve as the perfect mentor for Young, guiding him through the finer points of the pro game as he prepares to take the reins for the Rams in the future. When considering these potential destinations, it's clear that Bryce Young still has a viable path to success in the NFL. The tough times in Carolina don't have to define his career, and there are teams that could provide the structure and support he needs to flourish. Whether it's learning from veterans like Goff or Stafford, or developing under the guidance of experienced coaches like Dan Campbell or Sean McVay, Young could have a second chance in a more stable, supportive environment. Youth is still on his side, and with the talent he's already shown in college football, it wouldn't be surprising to see him rewrite his NFL story in the near future. So, which team do you think Bryce will end up with? Let's roll! Defensive coordinator Kane Womack has played a crucial role in keeping Alabama football's defense competitive, but he himself admits there's much to improve. The Crimson Tide has shown solid performance in several defensive areas, yet Womack, always focused on elevating his unit's level, maintains a continuous evolution approach, something that has been a hallmark of his leadership. Looking at the stats, Alabama is performing well defensively. The team ranks third nationally in opponent third down conversions, allowing only 16.33% success in this critical situation. Additionally, the Crimson Tide ranks 13th in scoring defense and 6th in pass defense, numbers that demonstrate how well Alabama's defense has limited opponents so far this season. While these figures are impressive, Womack views them with caution, noting that the competition thus far, including teams like Western Kentucky, South Florida, and Wisconsin with a backup quarterback, may have contributed to this performance. The defensive coordinator wasn't satisfied with the win over Western Kentucky and was clear in his assessment of the defense after the first 3 games of the season. There's a lot of work to do, a lot of things to fix. There are many fundamental aspects we need to improve on. There are schematic issues where we need to be more consistent. This self-critical attitude, even in victories, highlights Womack's commitment to building a defense that operates effectively in all aspects, especially with the challenges that lie ahead on the Crimson Tide's schedule. One area where Alabama's defense still needs adjustments is against the run. Allowing an average of 3.48 yards per carry, the Crimson Tide ranks 56th nationally and only 12th in the SEC, which is a cause for concern in such a competitive conference. In comparison, Alabama's 2023 defense ended the season allowing an average of 3.72 yards per carry, placing them 33rd nationally and 6th in the SEC. While this decline isn't drastic, it's a warning sign for Womack, who knows that stopping the run will be crucial, especially as the level of competition increases in the coming weeks. However, Alabama's defensive coordinator remains confident that his defense will improve as the season progresses. One reason for this confidence is the fact that Womack's new defensive system is still developing, with many young and inexperienced players, which naturally takes time to adjust. While this may be a disadvantage in crucial games like the upcoming matchup against Georgia, the expectation is that the Crimson Tide's defense will become more cohesive and efficient in the later weeks of the season, as the players gain more experience and familiarity with the scheme. Another interesting point is that Kane Womack, by his own admission, has been holding back in terms of how much of the defensive scheme he has shown thus far. This suggests that the coordinator has kept some more complex plays and strategies under wraps, only using what was necessary to secure victories in the early games. We had a lot more defense going into each of these first 3 games, and when we realized we didn't need to show certain things, we chose not to, Womack said. This strategic approach could be crucial for the tougher matchups that lie ahead, such as against Tennessee and other top-level SEC teams. Looking ahead, the ideal scenario for Alabama would be a gradual approach, using just enough to defeat Georgia but keeping certain tactics in reserve for the Tennessee matchup, which, according to some analyses, presents a more potent offense than Georgia this season. This strategy of keeping some cards close to the chest could be a game-changer for the Crimson Tide, especially in an unpredictable conference like the SEC. Womack knows the real test for his defense is yet to come. The coming weeks will determine if the preparation and adjustments he has been promoting will be enough to keep Alabama at the top of the standings and in the hunt for the titles the team is accustomed to competing for. If the defense continues to evolve under his leadership, the Crimson Tide could very well be one of the most feared units in the country by the end of the season. Now I want to hear your thoughts. Let's hear it.